Hello, good morning everyone. Hope everyone's doing well today. It is Thursday. I usually come on Mondays or sometimes Wednesdays, and now I'm here on Thursday. So, I am Cheryl from Tinker's Cart Art, and I'm going to be painting with you this morning. I am on my Tinker's Cart Art page, but also Craft Round the Clock. This is my Craft Round the Clock segment this morning, and if you guys do not follow, please take a look. Craft Round the Clock is a fabulous page where you have live creators and crafters and artisans all day. Every 45 minutes there's a new session. So if you have not been hanging out here this morning watching all the crafters, then please by all means stick around after I'm all done, because there'll be more crafters up after me. Hi Tracy, good morning. Thanks for sharing me in. Hello. Hi everyone. We're gonna do some fun painting again today. We always do fun painting, right? And last week I did kind of a broken color sunset scene for you. Still kind of on a beach theme, so I'm gonna paint another beach scene for you this morning. And hi Pam, good morning. So I love to paint. I love to teach painting. I love to get new people started painting. I do that very simply by showing you how I go about my paintings step by baby step. Hi Sarah, I am in Central Florida right now. I will be leaving in a few weeks to head north to the coast of Maine, and that's where I can see the ocean. Here I can travel to the ocean, but I love the ocean. I've been going up to my camp. I have a camper in Maine for about 30 years now, and not right on the ocean, but I can see it. I can peek a little bit of it, and I can drive there, so it's great. Hello, Lisa. Good morning. Thank you guys for popping in. Thank you so much. Hi, Charlotte. I got all my peeps here today. So I found a couple of cool signboards at, I think, Salvation Army or Goodwill or a thrift shop. They were $2.99. I wish they didn't put the sticker on the front, but they did. I got it off. And it's got the chain and it's all ready to hang. It's nice smooth wood. So do look all around in all the nooks and crannies when you're thrifting, because you don't know what you're going to find. And these are just perfect to put some paint on. Oh, Sarah, Bar Harbor is beautiful. And you're in Iowa now, yeah. So I do love the ocean, and I love Maine in particular. Nothing like that rocky coast and freezing cold water. So down here in Florida, I'm enjoying some nice warm water. But when I get up to Maine, it's going to be a little chillier. Good morning, Courtney. Hey, thank you guys for popping in, and thank you for saying hello. I love it when you say hello. I love to know where you're watching from. I see some familiar faces. I see some newbies. Please welcome if you're new. And like I said, I'm Cheryl from Tinker's Cart Art. I love to paint. I would love it if you followed me, if you would have any interest in learning to paint or just watching painting. And sometimes it's just relaxing to watch. Hi, Cindy. Cindy, I think you're finally hoping you're warming up there. I'll be up there in a few weeks, passing through to Maine. So anyways, good morning, Cheryl. So anyways, I bought two of these signs at the thrift store, and I thought I would paint on them this morning. This is a thin wood, but they're very nicely finished. I don't have to even hardly sand them. I threw a quick coat of gesso on here this morning. I had a can of gesso, a tub of gesso here to show you, but you guys know gesso. Just to give myself a little bit of a smoother surface and a lighter surface to paint on. Charlotte, I found them at Goodwill or Salvation Army. I confused the two. They're nearby me here, and I pop in all the time. Fatima, good morning. Hi, Karen. So just a thrifted board. But I love that it had the chain on here. All I have to do is paint it and hang it. I have some work in a shop down at Anna Maria Island. And I'm thinking beach things to put there, so I thought maybe a little beach scene. You've probably seen my ukuleles that I've painted with some beach scenes. Beach scenes I've done enough so I can kind of go ahead and do them pretty quickly. We did the sunset last week, so if you want to see that, you could go back and look at the recording. This one, I started out wanting to paint a flamingo. It turned into this. So I was looking at some pictures online, and I love the idea of just maybe a dusk scene, so it's a little darker, and then putting some string lights hanging from the palm trees. So that's my thought process. Good morning, Catherine. So what I do is I just think out what I'm doing. I make a little sketch. Now, if this was something for my classes or for my art membership people, I would finesse this. I would get a nice tracer out for them. But I'm just going to kind of wing it here. I want to put some hibiscuses, maybe a flamingo. That is very ambitious for our 45 minutes. But I'm going to at least get the sunset scene painted and get some of those little string lights in, and then we can, if we have time, we'll add some of the other things. So hello Cheryl, good morning. I love it that you guys are here. I will try to watch the questions in the comments as I go. I'm going to use my laptop a little bit for reference photos this morning, but do know that I come back later and I answer questions and those sorts of things. So anyways, I'm making sure you can see me here. I'm going to push this over a tiny bit. I've taken out just some acrylic paints. When I'm painting with you guys, I'm just using acrylic craft paints. I do like the Americana brand. I also really love the Liquitex for some of the colors. If you follow me, you'll know what colors I use. And I use really just pretty limited palette. You don't need all the colors. I have a lot out here today because I just didn't know how I wanted to go about that sky. I'm just going to start with a big acrylic brush. Sometimes I use hog bristle, so I'll go back and forth. And then the detail with just a few little acrylic brushes, nothing pricey, nothing expensive. I try to paint on things I find when I'm thrifting, but I also paint on canvas too. So, hey Judy from Dublin, Ohio. I do know that you've popped in before, so nice to see you here again today. All right, I will start with my sky and work down. I do that a lot of times just so I don't rest my hand in the wet paint, but also even when I'm plein air painting, I like to get my background in and kind of work forward. So let's just get some sunset colors in there. Let me just pull up some sunset sky pictures on my desktop here, and I'm just going to kind of glance over there just for some color ideas. I know I wanted a little on the darker side than, you know, this is more of a daytime painting, but don't you love the colors in the sky? So I think I'll go with the colors in the sky, but just a little bit deeper. Hello, Kit and Betty. Thank you, Betty Rose, for watching. Thank you guys all. Let's just get into this. I'll do the lighter colors at the horizon, work up into a darker blue. So I'm just going to get some yellows and some orange, peachy colors, work my way up, and just something a little yellow here. And the color is going on a lot better because I put this white background on. If I was painting right on the wood, first of all, the paint would sink into the wood and it would take a few coats, and it would be a little more coats to get the light colors to go. So I like to base coat with the gesso on a lot of my items I'm painting. Not canvas, but if it was a thrifted piece, this ukulele, for instance, a piece of tin, I would gesso it, or on tin or metal, I would spray a primer, and then, so I have a surface that the paint will stick to. It has a little tooth, but in the case of wood, once I gesso it, it raises that tooth of the wood a little bit, so then I just give it a fine sand. So that's the prep on something that is thrifted usually. And so I've got some yellow here. I'm going to just get a little orange. It's drying pretty quick on this gesso. I like to work quick usually so that I can blend my colors, but if I have to, I can hop right back into this yellow a little bit, sort of try to blend it into my orange. And just, doesn't have to be blended perfectly, but I just want it to not look like I painted a section of yellow and then orange and there's a harsh line. I'm just quickly with the brush, usually the brush is a little drier, and just blending that a tiny bit. So we've got some little bit of orange. Let's get a little bit of peach color maybe in there. I'm vaguely looking at some pictures, but a lot of times I'll just go ahead afterwards and just use my eye of what I think looks good. I've thrown a little white on my brush there just to soften that orange into this peach. This is drying super, super fast. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's frustrating if you're trying to blend. But one way or another, I always make it work. I can come back here after and do a little more wash of that yellow if I find it's washed out a little bit. Hey, Caroline and Julie. Thank you, guys. You know, we have our 45-minute segments here on Craft Round the Clock. So it is a little bit of a hustle sometimes, but I always get the majority of what I'm trying to get across to you guys done. I'm going to go into a little pink now. And you can always come back and see the project. I finish the project up. I post pictures of it. The recording stays up. If you follow me, you will be notified when I'm coming on, and you will see the finished projects afterwards. What I'm excited about this most is I just kind of was researching a little bit, and I found some tropical paintings with the string lights hanging, and I thought, oh, I think I want to do the addition of that. That's the most important to me here. Then I would like to do maybe a flamingo and maybe some hibiscus plants just down at the bottom, if we get to that. If not, I will throw them in later. So I do want my sky to sort of work up into a dark blue here. Debbie, if there's in the description, there is a link to Craft Around the Clock. If you are not familiar, I want you to join over there, but also to my private community if you want to join there. And send me a message, send me a private message, and I'll get you information about, I do have a couple of art memberships. I have a couple of my members here watching. Oh, bring the camera down a bit, Pam. Yes, thank you. Let me see if I can do that. Hang on. Does that help a little bit? Is that a little better? And thank you. I try to keep an eye on it just for that purpose. And usually I'm watching on my page to make sure that you guys can see. It's a weird angle, and I know, but I'd like to paint, this is a little bigger. I'm trying to go to a bigger project so you can really see what I'm doing. So I do some individual classes. You'll find them on my website. You'll see some free classes over on YouTube. If you follow me, I'm hopping on live a lot of times, painting something here and there. And I have a couple art memberships, very reasonably priced, less than a paint night, and you can have these recordings. You'll get the tracers, the color palettes, and full step-by-step instructions. So now you can see when I talk about blending, can you see what I'm dealing with? This is a dried piece of the pink. This is drying as fast as I put it down, and it's a little hard to blend. It's not the blend I want, but you can always work with that. It's so easy. What I'm going to do now is get my very dark at the tippy top. That's where I kind of want to start having these little string lights. So I'm going to get that in there, and then I'm going to worry about blending that. There's no worries there. And how I do it is I keep a dry brush. So I'm going to use the same dirty brush, but just dry it off a little bit. And I'm going to go back into those pinks and blend that a little bit. And sometimes if I just grab some white, it helps blend. This could almost be like a little bit of clouds coming through. I really want to get it blended up here with my darks. I'll worry about the blend down here a little bit. And then throw in some clouds in there. I'm going to have trees over this, those little twinkly lights. It'll work fine. A little more of that blue in there. And then later I'll paint the edge and probably stain or paint the back. Hi, Andrea. Hey, Sandy. Good to see you, my Clinton friend. Great to see you here. All right, so now I am going to grab a clean brush just to get these little light areas. I should have extended all the way to the edge. I don't know why I didn't. Thank you, Cindy. I love having you in the membership. We've got Charlotte here who's in the membership, Lisa. I have 2 memberships. One is the Tinker's, I'm stumbling over my words here. Tinker's Cardists. That is a membership where I paint with you live. You get recordings every month. You get 3 paintings. Or if you want to just try it out or just do something simple, I have a 1 painting a month that gets emailed to you, all recorded. Again, color palette, tracers in different sizes, all the things to get you started if you think you might want to jump in and paint with us. Okay, so now I'm going to just throw a few clouds in there to kind of places where I couldn't really soften up the way I want. I'll throw a little clouds in there, and we're going to jump on down and paint some water. So clouds, when they're in the sunset, are pretty dark. They're not like the white puffy clouds. They're kind of just a darker, let's just get a darker shade here. I'm just mixing some of the pink with my blue. I'm kind of getting a darker purple. And I just want to get it a little darker so that I can put the string lights over there maybe and get them to really glow. The edges of clouds, I'm kind of just looking here. Let's see, I'm going to get them a little lighter in the middle maybe. They glow along the edges sometimes. And I can also use, you know what I'm going to grab is I have some slow drying mediums and some retarders and things, floating medium. Sometimes those just help me keep the paints flowing a little better. Gives me a little extra time when I'm sort of blending. See how much that smoother that is. But I do like to get some little bright glimpses of a bright on the edge of the clouds maybe. Just because there's maybe the sun setting, it's behind the clouds and there's a little glow on the top. So let me get a smaller brush and just try something there. Although, you know what, I'm skipping it. You know why? I'm gonna put light bulbs on there and I don't want it to take away. So let's just use those dark clouds for now. Get some water. So the water I generally do is kind of a blue-green. I like to do that nice New England blue-green water. And with the same mixture, if you add a little more white, you can get more of a turquoise, kind of an island Caribbean water. Hi, Gail. Painting medium. Pam, sometimes I really like, I've got a couple here. So sometimes I just use a slow dry. A lot of brands make it, Golden Liquitex. But you know what I love lately is the Folk Art floating medium. I use this a lot when I'm doing one-stroke painting and just when I want to blend a little bit and have some more time. So I really have loved the Folk Art floating medium if you want to give that a try. Good morning, Debbie. Okay, so water. Now I'm going to just rinse that brush I was using, and I'm going to go into a phthalo blue and a phthalo green. Gives you that blue-green look. I just mix it together. You've seen me paint this a lot. When I'm doing water, I do stroke back and forth like this. And I'm going to go a little darker this time, just because it's nighttime, the sun's setting, it's not as brightly colored water. And this time I'm going to paint right across so we don't have to touch it up. So I'm just going to go right across. And when you're doing this with a flat brush, you can use it on the chisel edge even. I just want to get it nice and even, so let me just... A little tip, and I know I've shared it before, but a little tip when you're drawing, painting, or anything, I learned this back in my high school commercial art days from our beloved Mr. Muty, one of our teachers, is if you want to paint or draw a straight line, look ahead of your brush or your pencil. So if I'm doing this across and I'm painting this line, I'm looking over here. My brush is going to follow my eye. If you have a line that you've traced or something, just look ahead, look ahead, look ahead. Look at how you can get such straight lines. It works as well when you're drawing. That's how I learned it, drawing, but I also use it when I'm painting. And it does work. It's just a matter of looking ahead of your brush or pencil or whatnot. And again, this is a tricky surface. I don't know why. Usually I paint on gesso a lot. I've never had it dry quite so fast. It's pretty warm here in Florida today, so that could be part of it. But as long as I go back and forth with these strokes, it's going to look like water. And like I said, I could use this same mixture and just add a little white and have it very turquoise, which these two colors, phthalo blue, phthalo green, I can only find them in Liquitex or Golden that work well for me. I don't find them in the craft paints, but I use these two phthalos and I make some gorgeous colors from them. Yeah, so let's dip into a little white now. Let's get a few little white caps. We want to make the water a little interesting, so we're going to get some white in there, just using the dirty brush, dipping into my white. I do like to have my palette a little bit in the camera so you can sort of see what I'm doing a little bit. And I'm just using the chisel edge, streaking across, getting some lighter and darker areas. Doesn't have to be really complicated. I do it myself. I make things too complicated sometimes, and then afterwards, and I do it very simply, I think, why on earth did I struggle like that? So simple, 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 and you can always embellish and add more. Sometimes I'll take the white just on the little corner of the brush, and if I start with the brush standing up and I sort of start and stop and start and stop, just like that, you can get the look of little waves breaking. Or if you just do straight across, you could get just some white caps. Now way out in the back, you would just want white caps. Maybe you don't want big waves breaking way back there. That wouldn't be how you see them, but as they get closer, you can get as elaborate or fancy as you want with waves breaking. I neglected to put my sand in, so we're going to put a little sand in on top of that, just so we have a place for the palm trees to grow. So I'm so worried about covering all of the area. And again, you can come back as much as you want and finesse those waves. A little bit of sand here. Let's do that. Let's get a little sand in here. I just like, I use this color for my sand all the time, and I doctor it up with a little bit of white or brown sometimes, or a deep ochre. I just like that buttermilk, that Decawatt buttermilk for my sand. It's a good start. And the blue is still wet, so it's really going to be, the blue is mixing in. But I sometimes like that, because if the sand has a little blue in it, when I put another coat dabbing on of that color and then some white, it really shows up. Now, wouldn't it figure that every other time I was trying to blend, the paint was too dry, and now I wanted it to be dry? But no, actually I like to have that blue in there. And I'll show you why as we go. So I'm just getting a little sand along here. I'm going to put some palm trees there. Some greens maybe, some hibiscus, bring that pink through. And that just gives me some ground there. Yeah, Charlotte, don't you use it for a lot? I mean, you can mix up an ivory, but I use it so much I have it in the big bottle. So you can mix all your colors from your primaries, and I do a lot of that, you guys, so that you don't have to buy all the colors. But there are some colors you use so much of, it's nice just to have them right there handy for you. Okay, let's do some quick, simple. I like to do a little more, and I know this is similar to what I did last week with the sunset. I like to do a little more than just black shadows, silhouettes when I do my sunset skies. I like to still give a little color to when I'm painting. So I'm going to have it on the dark side, but I'm still going to be able to have brown for the trunks of my palm trees, and I'm still going to do green. And I'm going to position them so that the trunks are very high, a little bit of the fronds coming down, because I want the strings of lights to be coming off the tree. So I'll make this one kind of straight here, kind of almost going right off. This one you can see it's just, I like the design of having it a little curved rather than two sticks straight up. So let's do the same over here. And so I'm really just taking a flat brush, loading it up with a little bit of Payne's Gray and some brown so it's a little darker. And when I do trees, I can do them with this flat brush because I can just use the chisel edge, press, pull, lighten up on the pressure on the brush a little bit, and you're going to get a trunk shape. So there we are, and that's enough for now. I will go and maybe darken it on one side, maybe with a little dark blue, just to bring that dark blue in. Hey, Fran, you must be almost ready to go to Maine. I'm so sad. I'm going to be a couple weeks still, but I will see you soon up there. And Vicky, hello, hello. Okay, so the fronds, I sort of start them dark green. So I'll take my green and a little Payne's Gray or Prussian blue or something dark. Maybe Payne's Gray. I want it dark. And I'm just going to have them coming off of the palm trees. I sort of place them just using a liner brush. You could use the chisel edge of one of your flats. And I just place them first, so they're going to come down and they're going to kind of go over the clouds. And this one here really is off the page, so but we'll have some coming down. Like I said, you could have used your chisel edge and done that as well. And I'm going to just do the same thing. I'm going to just take Payne's Gray and some very dark green, if I didn't just accidentally put it into the buttermilk. But let's try this again. Some blue, some green. And again, I like to have a little color rather than just have it all in the black. The sunset pictures with the black, I just like to have a little hint of color still. And on these little fronds, I just start bringing out, I think I want, this isn't as nice of a chisel edge as I'd like. That's the other thing, when you have a flat brush and you want a nice chisel edge to do those lines with. So I kind of usually have a couple of brushes. Some I use that are scraggly, which I like for texture, and then some, that's not a great one too. I want one that's a nice, got a nice edge to it. Yeah, that one's not bad. And I start dark and I'm going to go to light. So these are very dark little fronds. I go off this main line I did, and I'm just going to work from the end out. And it's all just little strokes, just for a base, because then I can lighten it up a little bit. I did it very blue there, but that's okay, as long as it's a dark of some sort. They're really fun. Palm trees are such a cinch to paint. I'm painting them a bunch. And same over here. Let me turn this upside down. I do turn my painting around different positions to paint. And these are just the little palm fronds. And I'm doing very dark green, and then I'm going to just get a little lighter and a little lighter. I won't get as light as, for instance, that ukulele I showed you, because that's more of a daytime scene. I'll stay on the dark side, but I will get some green in there. And I am going to probably put a little bit of foliage down here. Could be some vines and some greenery. It just sort of plants the trees a little bit, and plus I can put some flowers. I like to put some pink hibiscus or something on there after, so I'll put a little bit down there. Now let's go a little lighter. I can take my green, just mix it with a little bit of the yellow and get a little lighter green. And this is my favorite part, is when you've got that dark there and you can start just putting a few lights. As much yellow as you add gets a little lighter, and then a little white to that mixture because the yellow is so transparent. But I do want to get it sort of a little bit of green. I'm not going super bright. I'm not going to go bright lime green at the end like I usually do. I'm just giving a little bit of a highlight to these dark fronds so that it stays looking nice, but when I put my little lights in, they'll show up. I should look at the time. Let's see, 9:15. So we have until 10. Fabulous. So can you see how I like to keep them dark, but I still like to have it look a little silhouette-y, but I like that little pop of color. I don't use black at all when I'm painting generally. Maybe a little dab if I'm doing the eyes of a pet or something, but I will default to Payne's Gray usually for my dark. And if you've seen my paintings, I paint really a lot of color, a lot of whimsy generally. So even on something here that you could get away with just doing a black silhouette of a palm tree, I really like to add a little color there. Hello, Jackie. Palm trees they're so fun. I mean, I've been in Florida, and when I got here from Mass, I started just painting all the tropical things, pink and turquoise and palm trees and flamingos, and I love painting the spoonbills. I just did a huge, gosh, it's gonna be 36 by 40 or something painting there of the spoonbills, which if I had time I'd go grab it, but I don't want to, I want to get through this painting. But I'll post a picture of it because I'm just finishing it up. Alligators, I have a big alligator painting. I love painting all the tropical things. Okay, a couple tiny few here and there, brights, just a few because I can't resist. But again, I want the brightest to be those little bulbs. I'm not sure how I'm going to paint them yet. I'm going to show you a couple of ways and we're going to experiment. Okay, so we got that kind of done. Sky, I can go back if I want to and, you know, finesse the sky, but once we get the lights and things, I don't think it will even be noticeable. If I see that my white down here is kind of fading, I can do the same thing. It's just a smaller brush. It's just a little flat with a little white, and I could go and, you know, get a few more white caps that are a little brighter. You can always, you know, step back. I say step back from your paintings quite a bit and see what it needs, or just live with it. Like my spoonbill was driving me crazy yesterday. I finally had to just leave it, put it across from where I was watching TV and just kind of look at it out of the corner of my eye every now and then I sort of know what it needs. I'm going to go back while I'm got a brush right here and just take a little of the buttermilk color again. I don't want to get rid of all of that blue in the sand because it could almost be like water washing up. So I'm just with the flat brush just dabbing on some of that buttermilk again. And then I will even take a little white maybe. So it almost looks a little like the sand could be walked in, a little light, some darks. I love to use the deep ochre, which is that goldy color, as shadows sometimes in the sand. So I'm just layering some of the sand color, of the white, of that ochre. And it sort of just makes the sand look a little bit less like you just painted it on and didn't shade or anything. Trees don't need much, but that brown was a little transparent, so let's just do a quick quick little, I'm not even trying to fill it all in because I don't mind some of the dark, but a little bit of the brown on there again if I can see through it, especially on that light section there. And a little highlight, again, not much. I might just grab a brown on my brush. I'm grabbing some of the gold in the buttermilk, and I might just do a little highlight. I'll go along the left side, so I'm just kind of, I've got kind of a dry brush almost. So I can do it a little closer. And I'm really just kind of going down it a little bit, stop, start. It's a dry brush, so it has some texture. Sometimes I would even go like this, maybe. But not too bright. So can you see like there's a little texture there because the brush has barely any paint on it, and I'm just sort of rubbing it across there. Sometimes just for a little texture, brightens it up a little bit, but it's really, you can see on this whole painting, I'm not getting tedious with a tiny brush and getting it close and concentrating and doing all kinds of detail. I'd rather do little bits of strokes and step back and have it kind of read as a tree or a leaf. So now the part I've been waiting for, and you could even use a marker for this probably. I just want to do some strings to put the lights on. Let's see what I've got handy hanging around here. I could use a Sharpie that's not thick enough. I've got a Posca. I love the Posca paint markers, but one thing you have to be super careful of is everything has to be super dry. If you drag that through paint, you will be seizing that marker right up. So let's just get some ideas here I'm going to get a couple of ideas here for how to paint those little lights. I want them to kind of be a little glowy, but let's just get a string for them first of all. So they could go from tree to tree, but they could almost just go across the sky because they could be just attached to a tree a little bit that's out of our sight. So let's just, and I kind of want them to, a couple of strings of it. I'm just going to draw some, some lines like this. Maybe they could just be like that. I kind of probably did too many. Let's see what happens. Now, I just want little circles of like a goldy yellow, and then I'll put a little white in the middle. Maybe make them a little hazy looking. I was practicing with like fingerprints and different things, but they're a little smaller than what I was going to use, so I think the back end of a brush might just do it. So let me just rinse this brush out that we were using. It has a pretty good size on the back. So something round I could have used if I wanted to with a pencil. I was practicing with the markers if I wanted a big circle, but I think now that I see the strings, it's going to be a little smaller. Oops. I had a little something there and I wiped it off and I lost a little of my sky. So let me just touch that up so it'll dry while we paint these. Again, isn't this a great example? You can really touch everything up and fix things, and so don't worry, it's acrylic paint. If something happened, you could paint the whole thing over if you wanted even. Okay, so I'm going to just dip, I'm going to try this. I'm going to mix up like a warm yellow. Maybe, let's see, a little bit so that I can stick the brush end in it and then make the little circles. Instead of sitting here and painting all of these little circles, let's try this. Let's try a little bit of an orangey, warm, yellowy color. I've already used all of the room on my palette, which is typical because I sort of, if I have two palettes, I'll fill both of them. So I've just taken some white and a little orange I've made with some orange and yellow. And I think I'll start with that color. And then I can get a little lighter in the middle. So it's just not a white blob. Okay, this should be enough. I just need something to dip into. Hi, Karina. And Patricia, here you are. Good. And Lois, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys being here. All right, so I'm just going to take and dip. Almost could be a little bigger, but I'll make them bigger from here. So I'm just going to go along, and this is like an orangey yellow mix, and these are going to be my lights. I'm getting like a couple of dabs each time I dip.
I'm not worried about them being perfect circles. Let's just get those lights in there. I put an awful lot of strings of lights, but you could put one or just two or maybe three. We'll see how it looks. So I'm going to have to keep mixing it because I really didn't mix enough paint. I'm going to mix another little batch and be a little more generous this time because I was really kind of skimpy. And it needs to be a puddle of paint to dip into. That's the thing with this. And I don't try to get the exact color. When I'm doing something like this, I try to mix as on the go a little bit so that the colors are a little different each time, and that really results in it being a little more natural looking, if that makes sense. Thank you, Patricia. It'll be fun when it's done. Like I said, I was gonna maybe add some flamingos and different additions to this. I mightn't get to that all on this segment, but I at least got you thinking about another version of a sunset scene. I know we did the broken color one last week. I think I mentioned something about this week, and I thought maybe it was to do something in the sketchbook. I think we were talking about that. So you guys, keep on me. If I mention something and I forget and you want to see it, let me know. If there's something you want to see me paint, I just really decide what about an hour before I come on. I come out and I look at what I have on hand and sort of just go with it. I'd love to have some suggestions from you of things you want to learn to paint. I tend to do a lot of beachy things in the summer. Before you know it, we'll be all painting pumpkins again. So let's take a break and have some fun paintings. Oh, I'm putting them a little too close now, I think. But anyway, that's what I get for talking and painting. I don't think it's going to matter. This was a little close. Now that I have done it once, I would tend to space my strings out a bit. I suppose some of the palm fronds could go on top of the lights too. I'm not sure if it's going to look exactly right because it's all in front of, but I don't think anyone's going to look that close, right? So anyways, we've done a couple sunsets in a row, so if that's too much, let me know and we will paint some other things. And again, I'm going to mix a little more in there just to get through that little last string. Oh, you know what, Judy? That's exactly what I was kind of thinking of coming up. I don't know if you saw a couple weeks ago when I painted the hydrangea with the stencil. So I stenciled a little background and then painted the hydrangea. And I was talking to you about Donna Dewberry's wonderful stencils, and she has one for a clothesline, and she has one for a fence. And to incorporate those into some paintings was so cool. I need to pick that up. I had that Paris one I used last time. I have one that is music notes I want to do. So I'm going to stencil just something in the background, and then I paint on top. And I also have one that she created, which is fabulous for painting bottles. So you don't have to try to sketch the bottles all the time. There are a variety of bottles, and it's just a tracer, lines. You can extend them and widen them, and it's a nice start. But the clothesline is one I've had in mind. So I got to write it down because I'll forget. And you'll remind me if I don't get to it, but as soon as I get that stencil, that would be kind of cool. If you look at my page, in my membership last summer, I did a beach shack, palm tree, clothesline tied between them with bathing suits hanging on it. So that was really fun. Oh, Pam, I've done the big waves. Yeah, just a study on waves. Maybe we'll do that next too. I just do big waves and show you, because these are little, and I could show you a little bit about adding a little green underneath. Like if you look at the ukulele, see those little waves have, if I want to do a wave turning over, I do have a little bit of a method. I do a little bit of a green underneath, dark shade under the white froth coming over. So yes, that's something we can certainly do. So here we are with our lights, which look kind of cool already, but I want to do a little, I keep picturing like a little haze around them maybe, a little glow in white. That's why I want to do these in a little bit of that yellow. I'm going to just take white on a little detail brush, but I'm going to really thin it down so it's almost like a little wash. I have some clean water over here. And I'm going to try doing just a little, like a wash around them in white. And then maybe white on top of the gold of the bulb. It sounds like a lot. I'm not going to do a lot on each little bulb, but you'll see. So let's get some clean water so that my little haze is not as clean. Again, it's like watercolor. We're going to try to use it like watercolor. Really a lot of water and just a little paint. And these are wet still, so it might blend in, but that's okay. And I'm not even sure if this is going to work, but let's just make some little swirls around. And I'm doing these swirls kind of loose on purpose, so it looks like they're feathery kind of. And when that gold mixes in, I don't mind. And this is sort of the thing that I can't get the idea of until I step away from it. So if I look at it in the camera even, I can get a better idea. It's very washy. I might add a little more pigment because it's sometimes you can't tell till it's on the surface. It might be too washy. But just a quick little spiral around those guys. What do you think? I kind of like it. Gives it a little glow. I think I like it. You could also thin this down probably with that floating medium I had out there. This is kind of how I do lightning bugs too. My big enchanted moth painting, if you saw that, has a lot of lightning bugs. And this is very similar. I actually kind of like it when some of that goldy color is starting to, because it's wet, kind of working its way out into that little wash there. I have to reload every little bit, and then I add a couple of little drops of water to that paint again. And let's get those rest of those done. I was going to do little black caps, kind of like holding the light bulb in. Let's see, we might not need that. These ones I put here that are kind of very close to the line. But these ones I might need it. Now keep an eye on my time. We're almost 10, you guys. Where does the time go? This is crazy. It flies by so fast. So let me just stop there and try to see how little caps look. I knew this would be ambitious, so naturally we didn't get to the flamingo, but those are quick and easy to paint, and I can show you those sometimes too. But I'm going to just go right into the Payne's Gray. And on the ones that look like they are hanging, I could do a little black, almost like a little rectangle with my brush, if they're shown. So some of them they could be blowing in the breeze, maybe they don't show for each one. And I would go and just continue on because I made 3 lines of lights. I really didn't need all those. But when I get a chance to step back from it and examine it, I can decide whether or not next time would I put so many. So you can see how I did them here. We just did the back into the brush and did the little yellow, kind of a goldy line. Tracy, hello, there's my sisters watching. Hi. And then with the wash of white, but letting the gold mix in, I just did little swirls around them. But I like the idea of those little black pegs. So I'm going to put them on, even if I can't see them that much. I think that's cool. Let's see. Do we like the clouds in there? Just a little dark is kind of good to keep the lights to glow. But I think I will take a few little strokes of the fronds to go on top once those are dry. I like the caps lowest too. Yeah, I do. And I guess you could use a lot of colors for the skies. Seems like I went light and pretty dark. I maybe would go a little lighter up. But you know what? I wouldn't change this one. I would just maybe, going forward, I would add some, I want to do some pink hibiscus down here. Carry that pink color down. And maybe a pink, I would think we do need more, so maybe a pink flamingo. might be kind of cool. Some little grasses coming up. I'll play around with that and I take the picture later on. Yeah, Judy, it is. I don't want you to get bogged down in the details, but a few little details after being kind of more bigger bits of color, and then a few details, not details everywhere, that really does it. So anyway, it'd be a fun little plaque to hang and for the beach. And like I said, you guys who missed it, I got these thrifting. They were just at one of the Goodwills or Salvation Armies, and so look everywhere when you're shopping, because these were already on the chain and everything for like under $2, which was kind of cool. I'm going to have to sign off in a minute, so if there's any questions, put them in the comments now, because I'll come back and look at them. And it was so fun to paint with you. I don't know how the time goes by so fast. Oh, thank you, Judy. Thank you, guys. If you like to paint or you're interested in starting, like I said, check out, check out my page. Follow me on my page, but I'll put in the comments the links to my memberships, just if you want a little information there, or just individual classes. But you will find some on YouTube if you want to go and just get an idea of how I work. So anyways, stay tuned for the next crafter. We have, what do we have coming up? I thought I jotted it down. Creative. Oh, Sonia Shished up next. I'm going to run so you can get there. Refresh your page. Thank you guys again. I will see you next week.